So wait a minute. If I'm here and you're here, isn't it our time? Okay, then I just wanted to clarify that it is our time. Folks, buckle up.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show.
Would you say late and Carter Show?
The Wade and Carter Show.
Wade.
We are live from the Outs and Offer studio as we are every Monday through Friday. Scott Tomko, Mark Kurtz, Randy Langston on the podium this morning. Good morning, folks.
I see what your parents did when they made Wade your middle name. Because you've got Ashley up front, and as we saw at security at the president's event, which we haven't even discussed the security or lack thereof at the president's event, but we'll get to that. You know what? We'll get to that.
Wade and Carter Weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerlam Hay Feed and Ranch Services.
For everything you need under cloudy skies in Victoria, Texas. 72 degrees, heading to a high today of 83. A mirror of yesterday, somewhat cloudy, got some wind. It's going to be fine. I'm going to post a picture after the show, and it's not glorifying, but you hear me talk about Deerlam Feed every day, and I'm just going to put a picture on Facebook and ask you the simple question: does your yard look like this in March? Does anybody's yard look like this in March? And those of you that know me, I take great pride in my lawn. I always have beautiful seasonal color, and I'm the laziest gardener on the planet.
Because you got 3 kids at home.
I am a heck of a slave driver. I mow, I edge, I weed eat. I do it better than anybody. But I don't pull weeds, and I don't like to plant. I'll point. No, move that vinca over here. And the sad thing about vinca, once you plant it once, you've got it forever. It's like herpes. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Unbelievable. So let's talk about real quick. We're going to, boom. You ready? Are you ready? Because today's going to be a pow, pow, pow,
No,
pow.
I'm out. You want to start federally and then move, or you want to start globally? Iran.
All right, start with Iran. Let's go.
Starting to fizzle out. They have not been able to maintain the attacks on 8 million fronts that they started off.
They should have learned from
you,
Hitler.
You and I called that, though. It
Shoulda
was basically
learned.
They were trying to create chaos.
Uncle Adolf would have told him, don't fight that third front. You can't hold it. However, what you are seeing is an intensifying, as Donald Trump said, Operation Epic Fury. By the way, it's an operation. It's not a war. Speaker Mike Johnson emphasizing yesterday, we are not at war. We are simply using the president's power to destroy an enemy.
I think 78% of Americans believe in what's happening.
Absolutely.
As long as it's a short duration.
Absolutely.
As it wears on, the American support for the support of Americans does wane when asked on the poll, what if it lasts this long? It drops down into the 20s.
And mine too.
This thing,
mine too. I don't want this to go. This is not Vietnam, but that's always the big fear, right? He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. This is our next Vietnam. I'm telling you, it's going to be fine.
And I think I think I've come to the realization, at least for myself, that you can.
Isn't that the only realization you can come to?
More or less.
I mean, I guess you could come to one for me.
But I believe, at least for me, that you can be both for this act against Iran
and
still be concerned, and against war, and still be concerned about what the regime change is going to look like, or if it looks like anything.
100%. But I heard a guy say yesterday, and Ash fell into this for a moment or two. Well, what's next? What's going to happen if? I mean, what if we go in and talk? Look, man, who cares? At the end of the day, the Ayatollah, a guy who openly shouts death to America, that's putting a target on your forehead. That guy shouts death to America and then wonders why he finds out. Trump told them, I heard it just the other day, the whoever the partner was, if only Cody Bauman came to work. If you could find out who was with Jared Kushner in wherever they were, doesn't matter, when they visited with Iran, The Iranians' first comment, their opening salvo in the quote-unquote negotiation is, we believe it's our inalienable right to enrich uranium and do whatever we want in our country. And is it Kirshner or Kushner? The Jewish son-in-law of Donald Trump,
but he's an anti-Semite,
said to them, yeah, remember Trump's an anti-Semite. His daughter converted to Judaism. Of course, I guess that doesn't mean that Trump couldn't, it could be both ways. But that gentleman said, well, we believe it's our inalienable right as you shout death to America.
Was it Witkoff?
That's who it was, Stephen Witkoff. We will not allow you to do that. That's the beginning of the negotiation. And somehow Iran walked out of that meeting with their chest puffed out like, well, if you attack us, there's going to be hell to pay. Well, good luck. Let's see what happens. Donald Trump promising that Operation Epic Fury will intensify over the next 4 to 5 days. It ain't looking good. They're already just bombing them like you can't believe. Right here, this is on CNN's 5 Things. Number 1, U.S.-Israeli campaign will only escalate, exclaiming it is totally demolishing the enemy far ahead of schedule. Did you know, as an aside to this?
Look, it's funny. Well, let me just point something out because CNN, who will get mad at you if you refer to somebody as an illegal alien, will not refer to Pete Hegseth as a Secretary of War.
No, he's
Defense
still refer
Secretary.
to him
As a Defense Secretary.
They're still back here on he, him. Yeah. They need to get on they, them. I don't understand it. Did you know what percentage of China's oil requirements are imported?
Total?
No, just part of it. No, total. How much do they import?
70%.
I've heard up to 70%. So here they are. Their economy is going, and here comes the U.S. We're going to take Venezuela. There goes a percentage. We're going to take Iran.
I think.
Yeah, we're going to take Iran. Now what are you going to do?
So where's the rest of it coming from?
Russia. Now what we've done is probably strengthen an alliance between Russia and China, 2 overrated adversaries. Russia can't even beat Ukraine.
Russia and China combined couldn't keep the U.S. from grabbing Maduro in the middle of the night.
That's with all their technology. That was their showcase place. We're going to go to your continent above the equator, right in your backyard, on the same Gulf. And we're going to put in technology where you can't do nothing about it. So what do? We flew in and destroyed it and took their leader.
Central Command says that Iranian missile attacks have fallen by 90% since things started on Saturday, and drone attacks are down 83%.
You think they're saving them?
I don't think they. I think they're running out of them.
Done.
Yeah.
They're done. And I think it's the most important. I've said it here for years, and many of you scoff. Some of you are upset about it. What's the use of being the world's last superpower if you can't whip somebody's ass once in a while?
Linda Christ asking, so just wondering who's going to run the country, and I'm to the point where I don't
Who cares?
care anymore.
I don't care who runs Iran. How much worse could it be?
When we put them in there, they tend to hate us anyway.
I bet you the next guy doesn't say death to Iran, death to America. I'll bet you the next guy doesn't blow up the USS Cole. I'll bet the next guy isn't involved in funding Hamas and Hezbollah, and he's also not going to be involved in blowing up our World Trade Towers.
Where are all the Free Palestine protesters how come they're not cheering now that we're freeing Iran?
No kidding.
Where were they when all the protests were going on and upwards of hundreds of thousands of Iranians were being killed and gunned down by the Ayatollah and his IRGC? Where were they? Were they still protesting for Iran? Were they still mad at Trump about something?
You want to talk about the hypocrisy of the left. Why aren't they just screaming, hey, this is great. The change is great. The freedom for these folks is great. I don't understand why, but I'll tell you why it is. Because the left doesn't care at all.
I had a conversation with somebody who
about
served,
the Iranians.
who served over. No, they don't.
They don't care.
They don't care about anything about lining their own pockets when it comes time to protesting something, because most of these protesters are paid, except for the ones in Victoria who are always three weeks late to the party. Think about it. Where are all the protests in Minneapolis now? They're gone.
They're gone.
They're done.
They're gone.
Since ICE basically left and Tom Homan went in and took over, the ICE protests are gone.
By the way,
because these unemployed people now have nothing else to do.
England, Great Britain, UK, however you perceive it, depending on the geography, they have come back around and are now providing some air support. I think Trump is like, and I don't blame the president. I think he's like, hey, I'm finding out who my friends are. You're going to need me. You're going to need Big Daddy. Donald Trump is simply doing what every president prior to him, going all the way back to Jimmy Carter, wished they had the balls
Even
to
Gerald
do.
Ford, when he was the interim after Nixon stepped down, there were concerns about the Ayatollah then, even though he was off in
Yep.
in exile.
Well, I'll tell you
there
what
was
happened.
concerns about him, and he did nothing about it.
Tom Homan came in and pointed out some issues to people, and some of this funding dried up. Some of this funding dried up. Now here, let's go back, circle back.
Hold on.
Let's
I'm-
Jin Psaki.
This is from 1979, February 18th of 1979, February 16th, excuse me. The New York Times ran a piece called Trusting Khomeini, and it basically painted the Ayatollah, while he was in exile, as a moderate who wanted to do things to improve the plight of Iranians who were
Right.
being oppressed by the Shah.
The general thing is, if you have to live in isolation and in exile, you're probably not really a leader. Good morning, Sheriff Louderback. There's our state rep for House District 30. We appreciate you always checking in, sir, and look forward to your next visit. So circling back, doing a quick Jin Psaki, when you and I went to, and I complimented your parents, I think your parents should have made your middle name just Dot. Not Wade, just a dot, like Ashley Dot Wayachow. Because here's the deal. First of all, you're saddled with, at the time you weren't American, so it makes perfect sense. It's inconsequential because Canada is such a true melting pot of different cultures. And
Actually, it's not.
okay, well, it's a dump. But anyway, I was trying to find a way to, Canada. I was trying to compliment that dump.
It's not
Which,
a
by the
dump
way,
either, but
so
it was never a melting pot. They wanted. We won't get into that. Today.
true. They all wanted to isolate themselves in their own way, like the French look down on everybody else. But they surrender. That part of Canada always surrenders. They decided somehow in wisdom, I guess they wanted a girl. They wanted you and your brother to be like, at the very least, a boy and a girl. So they named you Ashley.
No.
Which by the time you were 3, you said it's Ash or I'm killing somebody. I get that. And they said, with a last name like Wayachow, which if you're honest, it took you till the 4th grade to be able to spell your last name.
Probably so.
Okay. They
Third,
just
I
said,
think. I
make
was
it
smart.
Wade.
Third.
Make his middle name Wade. Just give him a chance. It should have just been Ashley Dot Wayachow. As we're walking in to the extremely well organized, thank goodness we had some help getting into the president's deal. And because you would think it would be like, bottle of water, hey, thank you, good. Hope you voted, bottle of water, bottle of water. We're on the tarmac out there, brand new. They put down some seal coat, and it's brand new, and it's obvious that it's brand new. And we happen to be walking in with a guy from the port, and he goes, oh, yeah, it's brand new. It's all sticking to my shoes.
Yep.
And he goes, yeah, we just did this last week. And I said, in preparation for this? And he goes, oh, yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely.
He knew about it about a week before most of the port found out Monday that the president was going to be there Friday.
Yeah, so they threw down some, Jennifer Rayburn says Ashley is an old English surname. The more you know. But here's what you know, Jennifer Rayburn. It's a front because he's a communist spy. So he wants people to say, my name is Ashley. Eh? For Pete's sake, come on. So we walk into that. We got fortunate and got right up to the front, and we walked in, and then if you were in the VIP line, you were going to a specific table. You know how, and this is no put down because people that volunteer are usually people that have time, and quite often they're older folks because they have time. But have you ever noticed how one person at 25 could probably get you through the voting line a lot quicker than the super nice and benevolent folks that do it? Yep. Well, they had those 3 people out there with a printed 8.5 by 11 list of about 15 pages. These were the VIPs. And it had on there your name, where you were from, your email address, had all kinds of information that was provided to them from the White House front team. It was not in alphabetical order. It looked like it must have been on a as-received basis. And when we walked up, the lady had already seen, maybe 150 people?
Probably.
And she just slid the list to me and said, find your name. Find your name. And I said, okay. And I said, here I am. And I had my ID, and I showed it to her, and she looked at it. And Dawn was there, and Dawn was nowhere near my name. She was like 3 pages back, and we found that as well. And then Ash is there, and he goes, I'm looking for me. And Ash goes, oh, here it is. And he turns the list around and points at it. And am I wrong? She did not look at your ID.
Nope.
She goes, your name's Ashley? And he goes, yes, ma'am. And she goes, okay, I'm not asking any questions. And I thought, that's odd. That's kind of like, oh, it's a girl's name. Am I right? Is that the way you took it? I mean, I know you've heard that all your life.
All my life.
But I just was like, as Ash sobbed with his head on my shoulder, and she thought we were a couple, we walked on by the table. But we were barely by the table when I turned to him and I go, did that really just happen? She questioned your name and then just marked your name, like, next. And I thought, dude, now don't get me wrong, we went through metal detectors and there were numerous safety issues involved, but I was like, are you kidding me? That's the best we can do? We can't even set up a laptop out there?
Well, and the other thing is, there were no, the line was not separated with stanchions. There was nothing to get you. It was just, everybody was just.
Oh, no doubt.
It was weird.
It was
the efficiency of the federal government summed up in one event. To get into the event. The event itself was well run.
Melissa Hansen says, is this pick on Ash Day? Let's get to the news. All right, Kristi Noem out. As Department of Homeland Security chief. Amidst
3 million deportations under her watch.
She did a great, as DHS chief, she did a good job.
Yeah.
And she drew too much attention to herself. See right here, there was a 200, what are we on there so we can quote our source?
I think this is the flyover.
The flyover. Kristi Noem oversaw a $220 million ad campaign.
This sounds like something the Canadian government does come election time.
Very self-promotional, and I think she was probably, I'm guessing here, I'm filling in the blanks with common sense. I saw some of the ads. There were ads of Kristi Noem is tough on, blah, blah, blah. And they showed some pictures of her in front of Mount Rushmore, and Kristi Noem, essentially Kristi Noem, the most patriotic woman in the world, is kind of how she was portrayed in these self-glorifying ads. $220 million. Now, I'm certain that when the big, beautiful bill was done and more money was given to Border Patrol, all that, I'm sure there was budget set aside for this. Advertising. Do we need to get more people? Recruitment.
$220 million.
A lot of money to glorify her. Well, let's say she was called on the carpet about it. Like, hey, who told you to do these ads?
She was earlier this week.
And she said the president approved it all. When pressed, she intimated that, everything's good. It was all approved by the big man.
Because he signed the budget.
Right.
He signed the bill.
That's exactly what, yes, sir, you're exactly spot on. Trump didn't like that. Throw in the fact, and I did not know that the lady was single, but that she was having a not too private relationship with a gentleman who was in her employ. And at the end of the day, Trump fired her. Now, he fired her and reassigned her. And he assigned her and he appointed Mark
She'll
Wayne.
be the special envoy for the Shield of the Americas.
Right. And that's great. I'm sure, by the way, just like a non-disclosure agreement was probably signed, she was also promised some kind of parachute in the event something were to happen. I'm fine with all that.
She was in the middle of a press conference as DHS secretary
and was doing a pretty good job, I thought.
When this all went down.
Well, Mark Wayne Mullen, a senator from Oklahoma, is a shoo-in to be approved by the Senate. Kristi Noem was approved 56 to 34. Mullen will get more than that. The Senate is okay. Remember, you heard it here. Mullen will be confirmed without a question. The Senate is always kind to its own. He will not be grilled in any tremendous fashion by the Democrats in the Senate. He will be, effective March 31st, your new DHS boss.
I think they might hold him hostage. I think they might hold that hostage for funding Medicare, Medicaid. Don't forget, DHS currently unfunded right now. They're all working, waiting for their back pay.
We'll see. I think he's a shoo-in. Yeah.
Should we take a break?
Sure. It's
Let's
free.
take a break. Chopping block, get in today. Grab all your meats for the weekends. Terrace Majors, bacon wrap, $9 a piece.
Briskets.
Nice piece of meat.
Yesterday, they were selling cooked whole slabs of ribs, smoked, for $25.
That's a good deal.
Yeah, it's great.
Don't forget the Chopping Block food trucks out there every day, too, for 11 to 4.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Get into the chopping block for your weekend. Palace Bingo, you can go play bingo. You can also eat out there at the L&L Grill. He's awesome. Get out there to Palace Bingo and have a great time. Have a chance to win some money and help 7 local charities. Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Let Allen be your go-to totu. Let them help, 578-6300. Went Services.
For all your electric needs, electricity needs, if you need an electrician, Went can help. If you need a backup whole home generator from Generac, they are a preferred Generac dealer. If you want another brand, they've got those as well. I think they can get you about, a dozen different brands of generators depending on your preference and your needs, the size of your home. Went has you covered from start to finish, turnkey. They've got the plumbers on hand to make the gas connections so you don't have to wait around for anybody. Just give them a call. They'll get it all done for you.
Son Caden Petru says he believes that the food truck at Chopping Block is now open until 5.
There you go. I stand corrected.
Yep.
White Trash Services for all your trash collection needs in Victoria County and a whole bunch of counties surrounding, including every county in the Noble Network. They will service. And if you are an existing customer and lock into a service agreement, they will also donate money to the volunteer fire department. So it's not just for new customers anymore. Existing customers have an opportunity if they lock in to help their volunteer fire department as well. Well over $21,000 has been donated to volunteer fire departments by White Trash since. Parvita Wellness. Get in, get healthy. Today's the day. This morning, everything in the freezer is half
Watch
off.
out for the whirlwind, the Tasmanian devil known as Lisa Poole. She will knock you down on her way to get the half off meals.
Let's see. For the seniors listening, taxpayers on the 2025 tax returns can claim a brand new deduction of up to $6,000 or $12,000 for married couples filing jointly. You do have to file a new Schedule 1A, but it was all part of the big, beautiful bill. So there you go.
Wow.
Saves you a little bit of money on the taxes.
Yeah, if couples are making over $150,000 and only at a 12% tax rate, then that break saves you about $720.
But 34 million seniors will benefit as well. It is a temporary deduction through 2020.
That's kind of like I mean, honestly, knocking the dust off a windowsill, it's not, you know what I mean? They promote it like, and we're lowering your taxes. Well, I mean, $720 is $720. It's better than an increase, but don't pat yourself on the back. You know, $720 when you're already just bending us over is not ideal. Which do you want to jump headfirst into? My comments about the CAD, or do you want to discuss what I'm about to create, a brewing concern over the R Transit program?
I don't think it's the R Transit. That's different. I think it's the city transit.
Is it? I don't know. See, because that's just how we show that we're somewhat dealing in ignorance here, but that the concerns are real. Which one do you want to talk about?
I don't care.
Well,
we'll get to them both, so it doesn't matter.
I'll tell you something. If you have any semblance of understanding of Victoria, we office at 205 and a half East Constitution. So we're 2 blocks east of Main Street. Caddy corner across the street from us there are 3 really, really significant architectural buildings in our community. One is the old
courthouse.
The old courthouse is number 1 by far. And then there's a house over on Craig Street. Somebody will know the name of. It's not the Doogie. Anyway, it's a house that's on an entire block. It literally has servants' quarters out back, chicken coops and runs out back. It's an entire city block. It's an amazing, amazing home. Sam Houston gave a speech on the front porch, and 2 sisters who are apparently just crazy. They own it, and they don't talk, so nothing gets done with this home. And this amazing, amazing structure is just sitting there deteriorating. I've heard that it's full of just unbelievable antiques, that it's just sitting there because I don't talk to Ash and Ash doesn't talk to me, and they're just watching it spiral down as it deteriorates. And it's probably, I understand why. If you were going to buy that block with that home on it, you would probably pay $2 to $2.5 million for it as it sits, and then you would have to put another $2 million into it to make it where you want it to be. Yeah. But those numbers are just going up and up as the future goes on. Lisa, whose home was it? Anyway, that house is there. The other, and I think in this order, most important building in this community is right across the street from us here. It's the old federal courthouse. It's the old post office, and it's owned by the heirs of Mr. Frells that used to own the Playhouse Theater and all of that. And apparently there's some, I don't know, there's some multiple owners there, and there's some lack of leadership is what's there. There's a lack of leadership. This building is amazing. These are not facades. The stones you see are blocks of limestone. It is a government building. It is a fantastic building. And every morning I pull in, and when I turn around and park, my headlights hit it, and I'm just amazed at the aesthetic beauty of it. I did 3 years of architecture school at Texas, and I just have an appreciation for things that I see, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful building, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. It is literally vacant. It is literally empty, except for some scaffolding. I've been in it, and it's musty, and it would cost quite a bit to fix it up. Yeah. It would cost quite a bit to fix it up.
Hence, 1913.
Hence why it sits. It sits because nobody can figure out how to make a buck off of it. But here's the problem. It's almost 10,000 square foot of building.
Living area. It's probably closer to 15,000 square feet.
And on our tax rolls, it resides at $68,832. Now, GSM, our insurance agency, GSM.com, GSMinsurers.com, right across the street. I don't know, we've got maybe 1,500 feet there. It's on the books for $140,000. We looked it up. Same CAD, same bat channel. But this building sits here, so whoever owns that building, whatever conglomeration, whatever group of people that are doing nothing with
Frell's Theaters.
Okay. I'm not calling any individual out
the
so
owner
much.
of it right there.
I'm calling out the fact that our CAD, in their lack of wisdom and lack of consistency, puts a value on that building of $68,832.
Well, they appraised it at 110. It was assessed for 68.
That's a joke. The columns in front of that building cost more than $110,000.
Absolutely. Well, in 2017, it was appraised and assessed for $238,000.
Right. I'll bet you that's about the time that Mr. Frells passed away, and his heirs the very next year argued it down to $78,150, and all it's nope. In 23 it went back to 86, but the next year it went down to 57, and now it's at 68. The whole thing is just organized theft from you, the taxpayer. It is absurd that this building sits over here. Your home is valued for more. I guarantee it. And if they pay, I don't know, pick a number, whatever it is, they probably pay $1,500 a year in taxes. Well, you can afford, we just don't really have the cash to put into it right now. Just write that check for $1,500. We got it for free when Mr. Frells died. My only expense is the $1,500. It's a nice piece of property. Yeah. The lot's worth $500,000. I don't understand. As B.J. Nelson checks in, and the school board needs more money, $238 million, why that building doesn't pay some of the school board problems. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But we all sit back on our thumbs and let it happen. And it's all over downtown.
My house appraised at $200,000 or assessed at $200,000, and it has 1/5 the square footage of that building.
Oh, yeah. No, our building across the street is maybe 1/6 the size, and it's on the books for twice as much. Yep. Now, that may be because it's occupied.
Maybe.
Also, by the way, it was a Torn Bales redo. That is a beautiful space. Torn Bales, fairly selfless. Our rent is very nominal. Of course, I do work in Torn's yard for free. But unbelievable. And this is going to step on some fingers around here because there's lots of people in downtown Victoria that own lots of buildings. I don't blame them for trying to keep their assessed values down. I do that on my home. The difference is they do it grossly successfully, and we don't. So you can look at it any way you want. You can even look at me and say, "Oh, that guy's an
9 years ago, that building was assessed for $238,000.
Now it's gone down.
Now it's gone
75%. That's your tax update. That's Victoria County giving you the chorizo. Special welcome to our friends on Magic 95.9. I like to throw in the Spanish word of the day, chorizo. So you can go like this. Look, they're giving us the chorizo. You have to learn your Latin phrases that bring relevance. Yeah. You just have to let that roll off the tongue. Now, second thing to talk about, go ahead.
Wow. Jennifer Reimers is assessed based on effective age calculation, actual age plus condition of property.
Right, which none of that hurts.
If I could pay $68,000 for that place right now, I would do it in a heartbeat.
I could do it with 4 friends with no mortgage. Yeah,
that's the problem.
Yeah, that's my deal. And Jennifer, I agree. But here's the deal: it's an amazing place. If you go in there, there's a courtroom, and it's still got all the wood. It would be the greatest museum in any community. It's an amazing place. There's big, spacious offices. Are those offici? Anyway, big, amazing. It's just gorgeous. And until, I don't know, pick a number, less than 10 years ago. there was a law office in there. There's still law books on the shelves. It's an incredible space. I've suggested that and I'm somewhat against the city or the county owning too much property because they use your money to buy it and you've got zero say in how it's manipulated, bought, sold, traded. You have no say in that, none, but they use your money to do it. But I'm almost at the point where rather than let it just continue to deteriorate, maybe the city should buy it. But then here's the problem. The city would run into ordinance issues that we'd have to spend even more money to update it and provide elevators, and you'd have to have equal access for everybody, and there's not a ramp to get in. So you see what happens? A multi-million-dollar piece of historic and important architecture sits and rots while its owner gets a free pass on the taxes that you have to pay, because taxes only go up unless you own a huge building, and city budgets never come down. If we can spend $70 million
State budgets don't either. We had a $25 billion surplus the last 2 bienniums, and our supposedly conservative Republican governor and governors spent every penny of that $50 billion.
Every city in the No Bull Network has the same pain. You just may not know it. Calhoun County, DeWitt, Goliad, Gonzales. You go on and on. Frio, Jim Hog, B, Carnes, Atascosa. You've got the same real estate issues in your community. Some fat cat with a big wallet sitting on it gets the money, sits there. I don't blame anybody involved with any of these buildings for minimizing their tax expense.
Nope.
I don't. I have a problem with the CAD passing it on to other people. That's the problem. Because you can't tell me, and I don't care, I really don't care what they try to say. You can't tell me it's an unbiased review that doesn't involve individuals of importance. It's a lie. It's a lie. It's the harumph. They get together and they decide what happens. That is what happens in a small town. And this is a small town, period. Now, next issue of which I have no real knowledge, but I still want to opine. So I preface it by saying, I don't know, but I'm willing to criticize. That could make me almost a Democrat. I have a problem. I have a problem with the incessant money burn of our antiquated concept of transportation, city-provided transportation in our community. The Golden Crescent, whatever it is, regional committee, whatever that is, whatever it is.
They run our the folks, the Golden Crescent folks that run our transit.
Right. They don't. They're part of a multi-county, so, there's other counties involved, Goliad, yada, yada, yada. So it's not Victoria's deal, but it's funded by Victoria. And in large part by Victoria, in large numbers by Victoria. And every ride that this organization provides costs you money. It is absolute benevolence on the part of the community, which is fine. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to giving rides to people that can't afford them. I'm going to tell you what I've been told by people that do know. The service is available from 8 to 5. So if you needed to get to work at 8, it's not really available. And if you needed to get home after 5, it's, not really available. It's only $1.50 a trip one way. $1.50 a trip one way, which is just the most arbitrary, condescending. It's like, well, those people can't afford a ride. Let's just charge them $2. No, that's too high. Make it $1.50. It's not in any way tied to the expense, which lets you know the government is involved. That's how you know it.
Federal grants, I think, cover 80% of the cost.
It's an 80-20 program. And to me, it's a pain in the rear. I took a picture yesterday over off Navarro. There's one of those blue, it's got a little awning on it. They're not obtrusive, but they're just ugly. And somebody had hit it with a car and like it was pulled up. The support was ripped out of the ground. There were bolts sticking out of the ground. And then somebody came along later and the seats look really nice. Somebody added these little stupid looking, they're supposed to be armrests, but what they really are is to prevent you from laying on it. So they've got, you can't lay on the seat because there's an armrest in the way.
Only on that one, because I've seen them laying out on a lot of them.
100%. The other day, a friend sent me a note that saw like a little lean-to tent attached to one of them, and a guy was living there.
That's the one in front of the H-E-B on Rio Grande.
Unacceptable. Those things should be scraped off the ground.
Blue tarp.
Yeah, just move it. Get it out of here. It would be cheaper, better, and at least provide some type of notoriety if either the city, and I don't know if the government would support this or not at the federal level. It's an 80-20 deal. If we don't do it the way they want, then we don't have it. So
if we don't do it, somebody else will do it.
We've turned down 90-10 deals to build sidewalks. So it's able to turn those things down. Hi, Mark Kurtz. I think that the city would be better off doing point-to-point, which they do point-to-point with this transit service, and they run routes. The majority of the people, I think 30% of all the rides go to local grocery stores. Yeah, Brian Small says, sounds like Brent should run for mayor. I make too much sense.
I think the point-to-point is the rural one that gets people from rural parts into the city.
And be small, I wouldn't run for mayor because I would lose a lot of power. So here's the deal. At the end of the day, you'd be better off going right over here to Atzenhofer and buying, pick a number, Ash, 10?
You'd probably have to bid it out. You couldn't just go buy them. It's government.
Oh, yeah. Okay, bid them out. That's even better. And buy 10 or a dozen base model Suburbans. And then wrap them, Victoria, yada, yada, yada. If you wanted to, even put on some horns on the front of the vehicle.
Why you got to make it Longhorns?
Well, because you can't put like a thumb up there.
Could.
By the way, Torrin Bales points out, yes, sir. He says, doesn't H-E-B deliver? Yes, but probably with a fee, and it's probably less than $1.50. It's probably more than $1.50. Now, Bob Constantine, who has a dog in this fight, says it sure would. It should be privatized to local business. I don't have a problem with that either. I'm just talking about the logistics of the cash being spent currently, whether it's to Bob Constantine, who runs a wonderful limousine service, which, by the way, my idea does not compete with and would not cost Bob Constantine a dime, because he's already losing this business to our ugly, in the way, underutilized, and grossly expensive. When you take the cost of but BJ Nelson, Uber costs money. And, I don't like that. So here's the deal. Jennifer Rayburn, solid point. Rural transit is heavily medical appointment dedicated, along with disability transport services. I agree. There are folks that don't have a lot of money who need rides, and maybe they're wheelchair bound. So we're going to keep two of those wheelchair accessible vehicles. And if you need one, you call and they will come get you. No questions asked. No expense to those folks. For the same $1.50, you can get in a brand new Suburban and drive wherever you need to go. Now, I'm going to throw in a caveat. If a free one-way, if you're somewhere on a weeknight or a weekend and you're overserved, we're going to provide free rides. Free. From any Victoria business concern. If you're at a bar, if you're at a restaurant, if you're somewhere, this will even get the left on board. If you're somewhere and your date isn't being appropriate and you don't feel secure, you simply call this number. We're going to pick you up and give you a free one-way ride home. There will be, BJ Nelson, the insurance would be very high. It's high already. Driving those clunky buses around. I say this is the way to go because at least.
But but it doesn't do anything for the daytime people that need the bus during the daytime.
You still give them a ride. And I'm telling you that here's the deal. If you're the guy that needs a ride, you're the guy that needs to adjust your schedule. Right? If you don't have enough money to call a cab, or you don't, then you need to kind of be available when we want to take you. Nobody guarantees you a free ride to work. Nobody. So, and I'm sure not doing it because now if you could get the taxes up on this building over here and you decide you want to use that to provide free rides to everybody who nobody rides the bus. You see the buses driving around town, there's nobody on them. If you saw a TV ad, they'd all be on there going, we're going to the movie. But that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It simply doesn't happen. The buses drive around empty. So when you take the labor to drive the bus, the maintenance on the bus, the insurance on the program, the fuel to drive the bus, the storage of the bus, and the fact that a couple of years ago, a dozen of them burned up, it is infinitely cheaper to create a program that is ours alone in Victoria that we pay because
sales. Now they want to move the buses to a non-secure parking lot.
Yeah.
Owned by the county.
And which is not going to happen. That's not going to happen. I'm telling you, it would be cheaper and we could promote Victoria as a city that's doing something about DUI. There's no excuse because we'll give you a no questions asked free ride. You can either ride in our free Suburban or ride home in one of Justin Marr's black Tahoes.
You're not going home.
You're not going home, though. You're going downtown. Anybody against exploring this further? Because I promise you, by now, Gulf, Crescent, Coast, whatever, they've been advised that we're talking about it. You can rest assured we can get people's attention. I want to understand. This goes back. It goes back to 1965. It goes back to when Lyndon Johnson was in office going, everybody deserves the same thing. This is the great society. Okay, that's fine. But who's paying for it? It's 80% from the government. Let's just take our 20%, grab some Suburbans and roll on. I don't like, because clearly they're not maintaining the bus stops. And clearly, they become magnets for our homeless community. I agree with Bob Constantine. We don't need a lot of buses. We need, you know what you need? So you talked about me being mayor. You know what you need? You need somebody who's a champion of this city going right up the street to Austin and negotiating with Tesla to become a test market for their driverless vehicles. Hey, what kind of deal would you make us? In this region, we're in this huge region. If we wanted to provide point-to-point service with driverless vehicles.
I paid attention the other day when I was behind one of our city buses. Nobody was on it.
No, nobody's on them ever.
It stopped to pick up one person on a stop.
Right.
And I follow this bus pretty much all the way up Navarro in the middle of the day.
Ashwaubenon, bus stalker.
So
did you flip them off?
Maybe that was an anomaly.
Did you flip them off when you drove by?
No. Had no need to.
They didn't have it coming. Well, if you flipped them off, then you'd have to pull them over and apologize.
Yeah, very Canadian. That's somewhere to be.
There you go. Brian Small says, do Teslas speak Spanish? Brian, years ago, here in the great city of Victoria, we made English the only spoken language.
Victoria hasn't grown significantly in the 30 years I've lived here.
No.
And I remember a time 15 years ago when we didn't have bus service, maybe 20.
But it's a government program. And somebody got excited because it's 80-20 and, oh, they're going to help us buy all these. But it don't cost nothing. I know for a fact that it's propped up every year with community funds.
Yep.
To a large number, to six figures, multiples of. So, yeah, we'll get somebody on here. And you know what? There's another side of the pancake. I'm going to let you behind the curtain. I kind of go extreme this way to stir the conversation. I'm perfectly willing to moderate that and come right back to the middle with an educated response. BJ Nelson says the airport is subsidized, and we praise that. You know why, though? The airport, I believe, to a city this size, to a region this size, is essential, and the airport has an opportunity under the right guidance to actually make money. There is no way for this transit program to ever be anything but a financial drain. That doesn't mean it doesn't bring value. It can bring value and still be a financial drain. But how do you capitalize on that value? You capitalize on it by turning those vehicles into driving billboards, and you find a way to promote that Victoria is a DUI-free city. The way to do that also is to get our own Constance Philly Johnson on board and says, hey, now that you're being offered a free ride, you know, because it's too easy now. You know, you get a DWI, you're out by morning. It's an easy deal. It is. And, I mean, I don't know from experience. I mean, 3, but not really. I haven't had a DWI. But at the same time, there is some logic to saying, hey, look, you've got no excuse. We're here to
I don't
help.
know I don't know an airport anywhere that makes money.
No.
They're all propped up by governments.
Sure. And the airlines are all propped up by the government, too. That's why the airlines are always adding new aircraft and adding new gates. As long as you're adding new gates, you can expand tax-free or tax-deferred. Yeah. Yeah, BJ, I don't disagree about the airport. It's an expensive entity. But do you agree that the airport's essential?
But you use the airport, you don't use public transportation.
That's right. No. And mathematically, nobody.
No.
Mathematically, nobody uses public transportation in this community. We all have cars. We all drive. We all have relatives. 90% of the people here who don't have a car have a relative in this community who has a car. I mean,
20 years ago, we figured it out.
Yeah.
Without a transit system.
That's exactly right.
The R Transit existed then, but the city of Victoria did not have a transit system.
I'm all about, if you happen to be somebody and you can't afford, say you're wheelchair bound and you need a ride to Citizens Hospital, I'm all about the community. I'm down for providing that service to you and not charging you the $1.50. I'm not into that. I'm all about benevolence, although it's easy to be benevolent with other people's money. But I think we would all agree that's a humane and worthwhile deal. But the idea that we have buses, not quite yet because it's not 8 o'clock in the morning, but the idea that we have people driving around all day, going to the bus stop, and that every couple of hours somebody gets on, that's a waste of money. That's a waste of your money. There you go.
BJ Nelson, I've never understood why airlines don't own the airports. Greyhound used to own the bus stations.
I don't know. I mean, BJ Nelson, this is a serious question, do the trash collectors own the dump, or is that owned by the municipality? I don't know. I really don't know. They've got one that's owned by, what's the one that begins with an R?
Republic?
Yeah, I think they own a dump somewhere. I don't know. Scott Tonko says it's Friday. Y'all have to be uplifting for at least 5 minutes.
Well,
the U.S. is whipping the crap out of Iran. I think that's something to be fired up about.
Take a final break, and then we'll get there.
We are fired up about that. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, make your house a home. Go by this weekend and ask for Bobby Jacob. Bobby
Leon.
It's one of my old insurance buddies. Bobby Leon. Folks, I think I'm getting a touch of dementia. Bear with
He'll
me.
be there today. He might not be there tomorrow.
Right.
Saturday.
Go by and see Bobby.
Bobby will be there today. Go see Bobby. Great deal on
Bedding,
great furniture.
Furniture.
Accoutrement.
I love it when you talk French. You were stationed in Ontario for a while.
I told you I'd
weren't
have
you?
to kill you.
There you have it. There.
Veracruz restaurant. Today is the day.
Chicken Fried Friday.
Yep.
Everybody loves to get in on Friday. You can get the chicken fried steak every day of the week, but people love the chicken fried on Friday. Little known fact, and I respect the fact that very few people go to Veracruz and drink a lot, but they have really, really cold beer. If you'd like a cold beer with your plate lunch, they've got it. USA Concrete Coatings, 578 Home.
Plate lunch as opposed to
Plate lunch.
sack lunch at Veracruz.
Plate lunch.
Can't get that.
That's old school.
That is.
578 Home. Let Charlie Garcia come out and help you sand it, seal it, stain it, paint it, whatever you want done. He can help you do it. And by the way, it's just that simple. Don't do anything with your concrete. Don't do anything with your pool deck. Don't do anything with your garage floor without calling Charlie Garcia. Let's talk about the First State Bank of Louise Astros update.
Well, the uplifting, I was going to say 4.5 million voters took part in the primary elections in this state. That's 24% of the registered voters. That's well above the 17.6% that took part in the 2022 midterm primary. So there you go.
Which, by the
More people
way,
are voting, which could be good.
24% of the 18.7 million registered voters. Of the 18.7 million registered voters, probably, honestly, 12 million of them are going to vote Republican in the general election. So this is a typical deal. The Republicans kind of stay home. Most of the Republican races, aside from Paxton and Cornyn, are somewhat uncontested. You did see where Eric Flores did trounce Myra Flores, who I liked. She was the lady that was appointed to fill a seat, but has subsequently lost 2 elections in a bid to remain in Congress. And Eric Flores endorsed by the president and therefore the winner. Ken Paxton, kind of the odd man out right now, as John Cornyn has been endorsed by the president. I think the president's advisors said this: John Cornyn is a proven vote getter, and he can beat Tallarico. Now, am I right that he can beat Tallarico? I don't know.
Tony Gonzalez, the Republican who was forced to admit an affair with a staffer.
Did he ever admit an affair? I'll tell you what he did admit. What he did admit, and don't get me wrong, my wife would call this an affair, and I'm not suggesting this is something to not be discussed at home. I mean, I think he would be in mucho trouble. Tony Gonzalez apparently did 2 things. He asked another married staffer. Tony's married, has like 5 or 6 kids. He's a good Catholic boy. I don't even know what city he's from. Anybody know? Representative Tony Gonzalez?
El Paso?
Is he?
Laredo?
Laredo. I think he is from Laredo. I made that up, but I think so. He said to this woman who was in his employ, this is what I want to know, that he asked her in a text, hey, send me a sexy pic. Okay. That's a dumb move. All of you married men, I don't recommend you do that. Don't send to somebody while your wife's at home raising your 5 or 6 kids. Don't send a note that says, hey, babe, send me a sexy pic. To which she responded, I'm not comfortable with this. I think this is going too far. So he may be guilty of sexual harassment. Apparently, he also liked her or asked her how she liked it.
I think Wednesday night in an interview, he said that he made a mistake, had a lapse in judgment.
Is that when he asked for the sexy pic and asked her in what position she preferred? Because that's the 2 things that they've acknowledged
I think they hooked up.
Did they? I've never seen that. Hey, how much of a man is this? This sounds so male. I made a mistake, and I had a lapse in judgment, and there was a lack of faith, And I take full responsibility for those actions. You're so bold. You're so brave. Since then, I've reconciled with my wife, Angel. I've asked God to forgive me, which he has. And my faith is as strong as ever. Thank goodness, Tony, that your faith in God is so strong now and that your wife, Angel, just took it like a trooper. Tony's an idiot.
Nancy Mace yesterday tried to pass a resolution in the House that would have forced all or disclosure of anyone, any sitting member of Congress who has been accused of sexual misconduct to be exposed.
B. Small says he gets those texts from me a lot. Brian, send me a sexy pic.
I think 65 people supported the resolution.
Some were Republicans, some were Democrats, but I went through the list. Michael Cloud was not on it. There's a reason Michael Cloud didn't support that. And there's also, I noticed that Chip Roy didn't support it. So, as you go through people that I look at that I know are conservative, and that they're conservative with purpose. There's a reason they do things the way they do them. They didn't, the list is available, Bob. They did not vote for this resolution. And it's not because...
I think context is missing.
I think so.
Nancy Mace is trying to become governor of South Carolina or North Carolina.
Yeah, she's intense.
And I think there was context missing with this.
Yeah. I like Nancy Mace a lot.
But and here's the thing: this is a shrewd move by Gonzalez, because there was pressure for the House Ethics Committee to start an investigation into him. He says he'll serve out the rest of the term. This investigation could take that long or longer. The problem is, if they start the investigation now that he's going to be gone, unless they speed it up, but it's not going to end in anything differently, because he's going to be gone at the end of the term, in November. But if he was to abruptly resign, the investigation into him by the House Ethics Committee would stop at that point.
Right.
So it really just becomes a waste of taxpayer dollars, because when the heat gets turned up, these folks typically resign and nothing happens.
That's right. And yet, I don't know Tony Gonzalez. I'm not a Tony Gonzalez fan one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me that he's a Republican or a Democrat. I don't care. There's a lot of hypocrisy at work here, because, Bill Clinton didn't resign, No. And we know that he lied to Congress and did it. That was funny the other day when Nancy Mace asked Bill Clinton, "Have you ever lied under oath?" And he goes, "No." Well, we know that he got impeached for lying under oath. We know the dude lied under oath. Craziness. Bill Clinton is just and I think this is good for you young people to learn. If you're following your body parts around, at some point you're just going to be a bumbling old man. And that's all Bill Clinton is a bumbling old man who has to lay next to Hillary Clinton. Think about that. I don't fault Bill for any of his philandering, because she is such a terrible human being. But at the same time, for him to deny it is ridiculous. Where's he from? Ernest Anthony, Navy veteran. Man, where's he from?
He voted in favor of the Respect for Marriage Act.
Well, of course he did. He's a good Catholic boy. He's from San Antonio.
He was born there, but I'm trying to see what his district represents. 23rd District.
I don't know. Let's see. 23rd Congressional District. Somebody should know.
El Paso.
There you go, El Paso.
Right? Yeah. Juarez, that's El Paso.
Yeah. I'm not convinced if there wasn't upstream pressure that being a philandering male in D.C. would get Tony Gonzalez unelected.
Stretches from western San Antonio to El Paso. Pretty large.
It's a big,
geographically.
80 people there.
But about 806,000 people in his district.
Keep in mind, folks, that when you're worried about world dominance and where the U.S. is and what's going on, this deal in Iran, we're going to turn up the heat this weekend. It's going to be productive. I'm not at all worried about our troops or our bases, or I'm just glad that we're not going to have a nuclear weapon on this soil from Iran anytime soon. And understand that when North Korea decides they want to chirp about who they're for, there's only 25 million people in North Korea. There's only 25 million people there. They're smaller. You know, you can't use Canada reflectively because the land expanse of Canada is so big, you think of it as being a big country. There are fewer people in North Korea than the state of Texas. So by a percentage, by a group. Yes, be small. You're getting overtime, extra innings. It's Friday.
And the World Baseball Classic begins today. First State Bank Astros update.
Yeah.
Lots of Astros taking part. Former Astros taking part.
I'm just excited as
Watch out for Canada, folks. Dark horse.
Very, very dark. Joey Loperfido back in the lineup for the Astros.
Japan defending champ of the World Baseball Classic. Favored to win it again this year.
Shohei Ohtani expected to pitch every game and bat leadoff and fourth. Yeah, the Ohtani show. I wonder if our own guy, what's his name, Tito, that guy that we just got?
I think he's going to be good.
You know the guy that always thinks they're cool about sports is the guy that pronounces that name right? Like you go, what's that guy's name? Oh, Titoshi. They say it like with the Japanese accent. Yeah, that's not me.
No, you don't even remember his name.
Nah,
Neither
I don't
do
know
I.
his name. What do you say? Astros Japanese player. That's just so. Tatsuya Amai.
There we go.
IMAI.
3-year, $54 million deal.
$18 million a year if you close to that.
27. We get 3 good years out of him. He'll leave for the Dodgers.
That's right. After winning a Cy Young, he'll leave. Scott Tompkins says all this and no hockey half minute. What do you got, Ash?
I don't have much.
Scott,
right
what do you got?
Trade deadline is today in the NHL, so expect a flurry of activity. Flames made a trade the other day, got rid of Mackenzie Weegar, good defenseman.
They still got that goalie, the one that you like now? I went through several seasons where you hated the goalie.
Yeah, easy to hate on goalies. But we'll see what happens with the trade deadline today.
Since we're in extra innings and there's probably only about 25,000 people listening, how about if I just tell you that it is one of the great pleasures of my existence to partner with you on this show every day.
I enjoy it. It's fun. It's been a blast.
You did not read the prepared statement that I
did not.
gave you to read that talked about me. So,
there's Jonathan Williams saying he can opt out every year, so the Astros could just get 1 year.
Hang on,
before he moves to LA.
a bonus of Wade and Carter extra innings. State Rep, House District 30, AJ Louderback, you're live on Wade and Carter on extra innings. Extra innings, sir. You're on the radio with us. Tell us what's going on, brother.
Oh gosh, still on the radio.
We just decided to hang around
I don't
a
think
while.
we're on the radio anymore.
Oh no, but we're on Facebook and YouTube and all that.
Probably on the No Bowl.
On the No Bull Network. How are you, sir? Your constituency waits.
Doing well.
You've had a busy week, I know.
We're headed out there. Yeah, I've been busy. No doubt.
Well, we appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate that.
It means the world, doesn't it?
Yeah. All right, we'll get off the air here.
Hey, we're going to get off the air. Hang on 1 second, sir. Folks, have a great weekend. We love you.
We'll see you all Monday.
Bye-bye.
Bye, folks.